Welcome to the tutorial for the prong setting that I really love to use in a lot of my pieces. For reference today I have a 2mm stone, a 4mm stone, and a 6mm stone. Here's a 2mm stone set in that prong setting for reference. This one is super tiny, so today I'm going to be showing the demonstration using the 6mm stone. These are the different size wires I'll use for the prong setting for the different size stones. I'll list this in the description. Setting the 6mm garnet, we're going to be using the 22 gauge round wire. I normally prefer half hard for any of these settings. Dead soft could work, but half hard I feel is going to be a lot more sturdy. To start, I'm going to pick a place a few inches from the end and start my first bend there. And so this will be the top of the first prong that we have. So basically for this setting, we're going to start with what I call a 3-prong crown, and then we'll bend it into a shape that'll fit the stone. And to check the size, I'm going to set the stone on there. And I want to make sure that the opening on the side is definitely no bigger than the stone. It should only be about 2/3 the diameter of the stone. So we'll continue to bend this, and we'll kind of bend it into that crown shape that we saw a moment ago. On this one, there will only be 2 cradles and 3 prongs. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want to help out with me making future videos, please consider becoming a patron at my Patreon account listed in the description. We can kind of see where this is going now. So here we have a start. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we'll continue to adjust this as we bend it. And then bend it to the 3 points. So now that we have the 3 prongs, I'm going to take just the edge and bend that over, and that'll be the part that holds the stone in. We don't want much of this wire hanging out over the top of the stone, but I'm going to do my best to grab just the edge of it and bend that over. As you can see from the indents on my finger, bending this 22 gauge does take quite a bit of force. And so I'm going to keep adjusting it. I want to make the 3 prongs point towards the center. It's not totally even right now, but we're going to keep adjusting and try to get these prongs lined up how we like them. Let's put the stone in there and see how this is coming together. So as we see right now, the prongs are not totally even on the top side. You can see it's a little bit bigger gap on the side that we slid the stone in. But that's good because we'll actually tighten up the side. We'll pull the 2 wires together, and that'll actually even out the distance between each of the prongs. The gap showing on this side is a little bit bigger than I want it to be, but we'll fill that and tighten it up towards the stone with our supporting wire. In this case, I'm going to use the 28 gauge wire, and I'm going to twist it around and weave it in between on the bottom side. That'll also help fill this little gap here. This isn't quite as necessary for the smaller stones like the 2mm, but I like to use a supporting weave for most of the stones 3mm or bigger. This will also keep the setting from coming apart or coming loose later. When weaving the sides together with the supporting wire, it doesn't have to be perfect, just something that'll help hold the setting together for longevity and to keep it sturdy and solid. Sometimes I go across and back and forth, whatever it calls for. Sometimes I even do this supporting wire after the stone is already in place, and I use this wire to help anchor the setting to the final piece. So now it's fitting a lot more snug. So we'll start to prepare this to actually tie this all together and set that stone in our setting. Now that I have it in the setting, I'm going to keep adjusting and try to get this to just look as nice as possible. There's still a gap in the bottom side. I'll continue to use the 28 gauge to fill that. To bring the two wires together, I'm going to start it kind of like a twisty tie, and then I'm going to finish it off with a coil. The twisty tie will kind of just lock the wires in together, and then the coil will be more secure. So now you see that we have the 22 gauge as a bigger tie off on that one side. Now I will use the 28 gauge, and I'll continue to weave this together for lasting quality. And that's not all we use the 28 gauge wire for. I also like to use it as a tie down for this other side. That's not the side where the 22 gauge wire is already tying it down. This will add a lot more stability to the whole piece. With this 28 gauge wire hanging out here now, this can be used to anchor down to the final product. And with any of my prong settings, I always like to make sure that I surround them with other wire or other stones in the piece. And that, I feel, will really help the prongs from ever wanting to push out and away from the stone. Although it is pretty strong just by itself. And so I'm going to adjust it just a little bit more. And now I would say this is ready to go into a piece. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up and give it a like. Maybe subscribe. And if you haven't seen it, check out my bow tie setting video. I hope you all have a great day.